6-hour-old baby is being taken away by social workers from his mother. It is a forced adoption, and this is footage the social workers never wanted you to see. Britain is the only country in Europe which commonly allows adoption without parental consent.
Adoption is for good, and as soon as we can place a child in a loving home permanently, better for all concerned.
The government's new Children and Families Act is likely to increase the number of cases.
Those who've been social workers for a long time went into social work primarily to support families. The reality now is that they are almost exclusively involved in child protection. And that is a major policy change.
An increasing number of mothers are so frightened they are fleeing abroad, helped by an unofficial network of supporters.
Over in France here, they do not believe me when I tell them that they can take children for emotional abuse, let alone risk of it.
It is now harder than ever for families which need help to stop their children being forcibly adopted.
It's a very, very worrying picture, because it means that we're just going to continue on this trend towards permanent removal of children.
This is a film about the heartbreak of losing a child and the added pain of the secrecy that surrounds it.
I really miss him. I really do. I really miss him.
Well, hello there. Long time no see, and a lot of confusion over who I am and what Forced Adoption Exposed is here to do. So tonight I have decided to come on. It is, I don't know, probably about 12:15 here in the UK at midnight. Now, I haven't been on, I haven't prepared anything. There's no speeches. I'm literally sat in my home at the moment with two of my children who are asleep at my home. Two children who are asleep, who were forced adopted, taken on the 13th of December 2012. And then two adult children who are settled in their own lives and going strong despite what we've been through. And I'm here. And I'm here to now see this from the beginning, which I do believe it was October 2013 that Forced Adoption Exposed was created by myself. And I think it was about 3 or 4 other mothers and a father. And when Aaron and Faith were first ever taken, I was a mother of 4 children, and I was living in Leyland, and I was moving south, and things went wrong in that move. And then I ended up finding that I couldn't go back into private rental, and I'd gone through interim properties with social housing, and then that had flipped over because I was self-employed, and I'd ended up at a place called Save the Family. Now, I know a lot of parents would understand what something like this was, because it's not what I was there for. I had gone there as my auntie had gone. This place is perfect. You need 2 years gaps for your books for self-employed. It's up the road from my auntie. It was in Wales, and it was a chance for me to get my shit together, because I had actually left what would be classed as a domestic violent relationship, but I hadn't seen Aaron and Faith's dad since Aaron was 7 months old and Faith was not yet born. This factor is quite important, because I want to try to use tonight a website that is created in my name that isn't me. My name is Kellie Cottam. Kellie Cottam, as in Cottam, is my married name from being divorced. Now, I have my own website, and I came out as Kellie Cottam, the director of what was Challenge Britain in 2010. I've got the laptop in front of me just to give you a visual. I want to be careful because even it's showing the program that I just did, which is called Exposure Don't Take My Child, and it was created by Blake Ways in 2014. Now, I'm just going to quickly just come on just to give you a little bit of an explanation. I'm just going to turn my laptop around. Sorry, turn my phone around, and I'm just going to literally just put my name in, which really annoys me because it comes up with a website there only because I check it. Hyphen Kellie Cottam. And it will bring up my website at the top. Woo, 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 woo. That's taken their website down. So it will bring my website up at the top, which I'm currently building again. And I'm just preparing myself for the fact that it is my 44th birthday this year. I don't know whether this is all blurry for you, but I need glasses. But so to me, it's quite blurry. Now, on this page, I have a quote here that says, EDS is the easiest of conditions to claim to have Dr. Bowes, Wrexham Child Protection Lack Medical, Jan 2013, right? And this whole website is being created around my own book and my own court case. And just let it flash. And then obviously I have my social media. And my social media will take you to my Facebook, which is in the name of Kellie. And I live here regularly. And I live here because I keep it as a diary, and I keep it as a little space. I'm not going to be talking about any of this stuff here, please. I'm not going to be talking about anything that I talk about on my normal page here. However, just to show you that I am, don't want to switch council and go to my pages. Oh yeah, no, hang on. So basically I run all of these pages, switch accounts. No, hang on, I want to go back there. Fuck a doc. I've just fucking logged myself out, so I'll leave it there anyway. So basically, in 2010, I went onto social media to network. So to basically knock on the door of people through social media and say, hey, here I am. This is my mission statement. This is what it is that I'm trying to achieve. And the concept of Challenge Britain, which later became Step Up Britain, and the reason that it became Step Up Britain was because I was a novice. I had a vision. I had goals, dreams, aspirations, hopes for me as a woman. So me as Kellie, me as a mother, me as my children, and for my children. So obviously my children, who was Liam, Daniel, Aaron and Faith at the time, and I now have Elijah and Shiloh, by the way. Elijah is 5 and Shiloh is 4. So if anybody here has been through a forced adoption and is wondering whether or not they would ever be able to go on and have another family, another story, another time, but I am here to share this with you and come back in a way that's very different to the person that people met in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 15. So obviously I disappeared in 2015 and left, okay? And I officially left. I left as in, say somebody goes on maternity leave. But the difficulty is you can't ever physically leave when it's personal. And it's not like it's a career change or a job change or something like that. when, and this is where a lot of the trolling, so please know that I was just checking a name there. So please forgive me that I won't know any of the names that are here on Forced Adoption Exposed unless you are somebody that I met during the times of 2013, 14, 15. So probably the only person that I will probably know here would be Arjuna, anybody from the original crew for Walk for Justice, so Sig Higgerty, and then people won't have realised that in the second round or third round of Walk for Justice, the person who was our admin and everything for that got into a relationship with one of the other mums, and she cut and took me out of everything that existed. And please forgive my voice. As I said, if you're on my other page and you know me as Kelly, then you'll know that I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It has me, and sometimes we dance. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder. That means that I sublux, dislocate my joints. So if you see my fingers here, and I don't want to get into sort of my condition. I talk about that usually during May in a thing, but it means that I have cranial instability and a protruding, what's called I think it's a level 1 Chiari malformation, where the brain comes in. It's a long story. It's very difficult to explain. But if you do have hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, please drop a message down in here or PM, which I will open up the Forced Adoption Exposed PM, but I will do slowly. And the reason that I say this slowly is because when Forced Adoption Exposed was created, I think it was October 2013, and it was off the back of obviously Aaron and Faith being taken. Mine was a snap 26 weeks and it was done. So mine was a removal from a hospital, and literally my 2 children were gone. I in foster care. I was in a interim property, which was Save the Family. And the moment my children were taken, that was it. I was given my eviction notice. I had a non-molestation order put on me, and that was based on, so I couldn't go and get my children. And I had injunctions put on me. I'm still gagged, by the way. I always have been gagged. I'm gagged from telling you that on the 13th of December 2012, PC Stephen Lewis and Cheryl Osberlin kidnapped Aaron and Faith, which are my 2 children. I don't know what surnames they're under at the moment, but they weren't Cottam. Their father is Thompson. And they were taken from Wrexham Milo Hospital, and they were taken under complete false allegations. It's classed as what's called misfeasance in public office, that the social worker presented false information to the police officer that meant that the police officer acted to call child protection, which meant that he chose to take my 2 children into protective custody. Now, the funny thing of this is the allegation that was made and every piece of information had already been discredited by the hospital based on all of our notes. So this gets a little bit where I am up to now, okay, in my own life. Yes, I am bringing a class action. Yes, I do own Family Matters Legal Services. Yes, I get trolled massively, and I have done since the very, 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 very first day of ever stepping into a totally different side of a world that I didn't realize I was going to come into. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. It's been 9 years. No, I don't have Aaron and Faith back. I get a letter every year, which I call my ransom note. I don't reply to them because I refuse. Well, I reply in my own way to email to the people, and I reply in my own way in a campaigning world. Even though I've breastfed 2 babies, changing nappies, and obviously been going through coming from the streets. Because when Aaron and Faith were taken, I was kicked on the streets and put into that situation before the court case after 26 weeks had even finished. And it was a friend, well, not a friend, but a colleague through my coaching network. So I originally started my life as a young 21-year-old in youth work. Because of my condition, I went back to university and took my degree in counselling initially, counselling skills, that sort of stuff. And then obviously I had to go and do a B unit because I didn't get my GCSEs. The reason that I didn't have my GCSEs, and I had actually been back to college to redo GCSEs, but the reason that I was expelled from school was because social services had failed to do a multi-agency framework meeting for me as a child at school. Now, yes, I was in foster care, but I went in foster care at 15 and 1 week, and I left into a drug-infested bedsit when I was 16 and 1 week, and I put myself in college. I went to college. I went through what I got my final diagnosis after years of being told that there was nothing wrong with me. It was all in my head. I was a liar and attention seeker, many other things around it. That's my EDS battle. And my EDS battle is significant to Aaron and Faith being taken, as I showed you with my website. But my situation is quite different to a lot of other people's because I was in the media. And after a long time, I now know why social services came at me, basically, because they came at me from nowhere. So there's me, Little Red Riding Hood, going through the woods, going to grandma's with my basket, and everything's good, and I'm in quite a really good space. I was fat, so I was like massive. I was fat after leaving Stephen. It was a very difficult time for me, overcoming and leaving the relationship, and him abandoning the kids as well because he chose not to even see the kids. So even though I put that line down and said, if you ever hit me again, bang, but he chose to abandon his children. And in fact, he said that Faith wasn't even his. So being left as a single mother and also having 2 teenagers and rebuilding your life, and it takes some time. And then obviously I've always been supported by the fact that I was classed as disabled. And the massive big thing with the media for me, because it was about a disabled to enabled campaign, it was never about a job program. That was the media. I don't want to get into the media, how the media manipulates you. I'm not here to talk about Davos. I'm not here to talk about United Nations. I'm not here, well, I am, but I'm not here to talk about the World Economic Forum. I'm not here to talk about the Great Reset or what's happening with the families to do with Ukraine coming to the UK. And also I am actually working with people to translate, to explain to people not to sign a Section 20, or if you do sign a Section 20, to know what it is that you're signing. Now, when I first ever created Forced Adoption Exposed, as in the page, and it wasn't continued with the other parents, and the website went up, and Jason got the website up, and we got probably a fantastic website up because Jason is a web designer and that's what he does. He's a social media expert. And that's how I knew him through the coaching world. So my degree was in psychology, and the thing that triggered me off with my degree in psychology, and I've told these stories before, and I don't know how depthly some people have known me, some people don't know me, some people do know me. It's not about me, it's about our children, and it's about us as a collective. It's the children that, for 9 years, it's been the most horrendous struggle I've ever had in my life. I've been through childhood sexual molestation, sexual abuse, and a gang rape right at the age of 11. So I've been sexually molested from I don't really know the beginning. This is something that I first ever wanted to find out. Let me just clear my throat. But from a very, very young age, and when I mean young, I would have been around him from the age of 3. I have very clear memories at something at 5. I have clear memories at 7. I have clear memories at 9. And I very much have clear memories at 11. And then at 11, I was gang raped. I've been through parents that have divorced. I have been through my own divorce. I've been through moving. Now, when you go through psychology and they do any questionnaires, these are all things that are considered stressful things that cause stress in our lives. I have to say, now I've never experienced a child dying, but I have experienced having a child forced evacuated from my womb at the age of 15 by social care. And when I came awake from the surgery, I know and vividly always can remember everything from the feelings in my body to the piercing scream and crying. And I'm not surprised the whole hospital didn't hear me, because I just woke up crying at this complete loss that my baby had been ripped from my womb against my will, against my consent. And I was 15 and I had to literally pack up my troubles in my old kit bag and try and go back to school the next day and do my exams. And it was like probably the biggest mask I ever put on in my life. And just to reiterate on this, I was in foster care at the time, and to call my mum, they wouldn't let me. So I've come back from a hospital, I'm with the foster carers, and I'm not allowed to ring my mum. So I eventually grab the phone, ring my mum, and my mum kind of turns up, and I sit in the car with my mum. And I talk to my mum about how I'm feeling, and my mum explains something to me about her own life and blah, blah, blah. And I go back to the foster carers. And the moment I go back into that door, I understand and know that obviously I had feelings and things like that. But I literally just put myself into college, and then I've got surgery going on with my knees because of my health, my bowels and things like that. I had a cleaning job. And I just stayed away from social. I stayed away from people per se. And I just got my head down and I just cleaned the hospital wards. I served the teas and coffees and the lunches and the dinners. I went to college, and even though it was like train journeys and all of this stuff, I just got on with it. I paid my rent. I just got on with it. I was 16 after obviously it happened and I'd left foster care, and I literally left sticking my fingers up at everybody. And then obviously I met James, who is Liam, my eldest, who's now 25, and he was 16 when Aaron and Faith were taken. His journey in this is something in himself. You know, I don't want to talk about it. He's just had very intensive therapy to get over everything that has happened. And also with his own EDS, I'm just trying to pull my trouser leg down. I was just scratching my leg for a second. And of course, Daniel has he graduated from university. He carried on. He didn't go into what he wanted because he was taking his exams as all this was sort of going on, and I was in court. And also, he wasn't with his mum, because I've had Liam Daniel with me since I was 18 and 21, and they've been with me every day right up to just only going to their father's. Well, Liam and Daniel would go to Graham's every other weekend, and then eventually twice in the week. So literally, then I met Aaron and Faith's dad, which was Stephen, and we separated. I found out I was pregnant, and actually when I was getting a coil refitted, and then it was actually social that got me to work with him, because I separated from him because he hit me and I found out I was pregnant. And it was actually social that turned up to me to sort of say, look, he really wants a time, there's a baby. And they actually got me. I was like, no, I've just been hit by this man, mate. He doesn't ever do this again. Do you not understand that? And they were like, there's a baby, he wants to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I was in a really, really nice 3-bedroom detached house. My life was really cool. This man had come into my life. And I was like, no. But I don't know what to do. Obviously, I'm pregnant. So I agreed to work with social with him. And then he hit me while I was pregnant. Well, he threw a glass in my face while I was pregnant. I bet to him as a father, I was so damn stressed I chose to smoke while pregnant, and he threw a glass. He said, yeah, have a fag, and then threw a glass at me. He wasn't intending to hit my face. He threw the drink at me as if to sort of say, how dare you smoke with pregnant with my baby. I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying as a father, he didn't want me to smoke, basically. And he was always smoking, and it was like, in the end, I ended up smoking. And that sort of ended the relationship but didn't end the relationship, and social sort of went away and went like disappeared, the irony of it, and brought Aaron into the world. Actually, things really changed. Me and Stephen got on really well. Yes, with Stephen, he was, when I met him, and I was on morphine when I met him, he was on methadone. I was a dumbass who didn't really understand anything to do with this, other than occasionally hearing Russell Brand talking about this stuff, and that was about it. And it was my ex-husband who pulled me to the side, who said, Kellie, you don't get this. Now, I will always say the only drug I have ever known in my life has been cannabis, and that was medicinal for ADS, and I was a precedent case and won. I have never, ever in my life taken heroin. I have never in my life taken whatever the other words are for stuff. Yes, I've taken speed once in my life in a club when I was about 23, I think. And why the fuck, I never know. I don't even think I knew what the heck was going on. It was like, do that. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And as I'd said on something, when I was involved with the Radio 1 Big Weekend, and that was my breakdown, that was my big breakdown. This has got nothing to do with Aaron and Faith. They were not born. This was me with unity in the community, which was also how Step Up, Challenge Britain, Step Up Britain, and all this sort of stuff came together. I show evidence of stuff, by the way, over on my page if anyone wants to question stuff, things like that. I did want to use the website that's not me, by the way. So if people message Kellie Cotton, I think it's -.com, which is created by fuck knows. It's actually really difficult to come public and talk knowing that you have a stalker. And it is a bit weird, but I overcome it. I deal with it. Any person who puts their head above a parapet and talks about something is going to face adversary. Talking about forced adoption creates adversary, because there are adopters out there with their forever families who don't want the boat rocked. There is a movement out there that I rock the boat when we talk about things like the LGBT team that is creating a supply and demand of children just as much as you would with an animal, a dog. People have been breeding dogs for years and selling them for pets. After Aaron and Faith were taken, and I'd gone through this whole, I didn't know what the fuck to do. I mean, at one point, it was coming into Mother's Day, and obviously we're coming into Mother's Day again. And it was after Aaron and Faith had been taken in the December, and we were coming into March. And I didn't understand that every time I went to court, I couldn't get Aaron and Faith back, yeah. Big son is 26 now. God, yeah. So he is. And let's just flip my head now. Yeah, I would have checked, I would have watched my video back and gone, oh, I've said 25. I didn't, just throw my head. So, oh God, I've just completely thrown my whole, what I was thinking. Where was I? What was I trying to say? I can't think what I was trying to say then. I can't think what I was trying to say. So, anyway, I don't know who's here. I don't know your stories. I haven't been in the PMs. I haven't been the person posting. I haven't been around. And I'm also very annoyed because I have actually begged the person who has had access to the account to not put things out, because it's completely changed what anything that I've done has been about. This red X on my hat, by the way, is not mine, okay? It's not my branding. It's not my collaboration, but I'm part of this collaboration. And I got involved with this back in 2007, and I was the mother of 4 children, and I was in Cornwall, and we were camping at a festival called Creation Fest. I'd been there for 2 festivals, in fact 3, I think. So I think I'd had Soul Survivor, Creation Fest, and I can't think what the other one was, but we were there for it. And I was part of a church in Preston. This was during my relationship with Stephen. I went and sat at the university because my relationship with Stephen cost me everything. It cost me everything. It cost me my home. It cost me my business that I'd built after graduating from university, which was Unity in the Community, which was festivals, events, and any family community event, basically. Community spirit is what it was about. And I wasn't with any of my friends. I'd also completely fallen out with my family because my dad was at the point where it was like, I'm going to come up there and kill him if he touches you again. And if you don't end this relationship and go, you know, my dad was getting stressed. My mum was getting stressed. My mum couldn't hear me ringing him because I was at that point where I was going, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why I'm doing it? Yeah, but mum, what about when you were in? My mum didn't want to talk about it. And it was like, boom. But, you know, there's children involved. And it's like, when they're young, you think, oh, you know, and Stephen had actually thrown a can at me while Aaron was in my arms, and Liam and Daniel weren't there when this would be to the things, but they would know and they would worry about me because the first ever proper incident, we'd separated because I just couldn't cope with things like, and this is before finding out I was pregnant, I couldn't cope with things like I worked from home for a start, and I would get a phone call from a broker. So it would be something to do with crypto, Bitcoin, things like that. And it would usually be male predominantly. And straight away, as soon as there was a man on the phone, that was it. I had so many phones smashed, it was unbelievable. And it was a very, 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 very violent assault on me. But what I'm saying is that was it. I told the police. He goes, don't let him near me. They dropped him off to see if he could get a rollie off of me for to make a fag. And I was like, what? You've dropped him off at the door to me so he can get a rollie? Like, seriously? And then, of course, it's like, you try to... I actually stood up for him the first time he ever did it, because it went to court, and I sort of stood up for him and gone, like, this is his backstory, this is where he's come from, and, you know, maybe he can really get some help, stuff like that. And he did go to this thing called Respect Course, but he wouldn't get himself there, he wasn't driving, how I ended up with another driver, but, and they said to me, he's got to get himself there, and he just didn't go, and that was it. And I was like, if he doesn't turn up, he's not... And it was a long journey. It was like 45-minute drive just for me to get in there. But like I said, you know, Social, when I found out I was pregnant, actually asked me to work with him. And then other than that, I've never, ever, ever had... that was it. You know, me and Stephen completely resolved. The only reason I had Social in my life is because I'd become a single mum. And my consultant wrote to Preston Social to say that Kellie is having her 4th child, names of the ages of all my children, and that, oh, seriously, I've got an itchy eye. Names and ages of the children, and that I'd be giving birth on this day, and obviously because of my condition, I might need a bit of help. Now, I had what was called an indicative budget, which gave me 14.5 hours paid for by adult social care, not children's social care, adult social care, to support me with domestic, which was 2.5 hours a week cleaning, and an hour in the morning, an hour and a half in the evening to just stabilize the house. So it was around, if I was struggling in the morning, because I have some form of paralysia that goes on with POTS, tachycardia and all this sort of stuff. And also because I'd slit the discs in my back at this particular point, which had escalated things, I had help just to make sure that, because the babies were so young, that if I leant over the bath, that I had somebody in the house, things like that. And I lived in Leyland and everything was good. So my life stabilised that much that when Faith turned 6 months old, we had a home. I was in a private rental, and I spoke to, obviously, the job centre, because Faith was coming to an age where standard, you know, you would leave maternity leave and you would go back to work. So obviously I've done things a little bit slower than most people, because obviously I lost my education to social care, and then I've been a mother, so things have been a bit different. But I've still gone to college while being a mother, but only when I was a single mother, not when I was with James. I didn't go to college until I become a single mother. I wasn't studying when I was with Graham either, but I was working at the youth centre. But when we came back to England, because I was working in Northern Ireland, when we came back to England, I was so sick, I was so ill, I was really battling, and it was when I'd been diagnosed, I was using braces, I was on so much prescription medication, and I'd had my diagnosis, but still was coming to terms with trying to understand, get to know things like you might want, all that sort of stuff. I consider myself an artist. I love painting, I love drawing, but obviously my hands, and if I'm writing, I have to use pen, like thicker pens, but obviously my fingers are a bit spackified, and it hurts, my body hurts. So when you're living with a condition such as I've got, it's about management, okay? Because it's an incurable condition and you have to manage it. But you have your worst days and you have your good days. But with somebody like me, it's not as simple. Every day is a pain day. Every day is a day that I have some form of stabilisation and dislocation. Even when I get up from here, I'll probably crack my back in, or I'll crack a shoulder, or I'll do something. They're not always painful. What's been difficult for me as a mother, yeah? Now, obviously, mothers, we have periods, yeah? But we don't get to take the time out to take those days to really nurture and focus on ourselves. And there is no mother in the world that could literally, on the first day of her period, get all the ice cream, chocolate, box set thing, and literally just sit until the end of the day of her period. And she'd still have to get up and make the kids tea. She'd still have to go and get the kids bathed. She'd still have to get on with tidying up the house. She'd still have to make sure she made breakfast. She'd still have to make sure, I home-ed, by the way, but to other people, she'd still have to make sure she dropped the kids off at school, then come back home and get back into bed. Then she'd have to get ready and make a decision to offer her a quick fix on go to school in pyjamas, or, you know, get dressed. So then she's still got to go and pick them up from school. And then if you're in a relationship, you've still got to get stuff ready for your partner, or they might come in and go, oh, bless, she's having one of them days, and fuck off to another room and leave you to get on with this. But it is very, very, very rare that a mother can ever take any time out. And this is exactly the same when we bring a baby into the world too. And it used to be that if you gave birth at home, in a hospital, that you'd have 10 days to remain in the hospital, and that would be your healing time. In a Western culture, we're certainly not like other cultures where they come into the hospital, they make sure that the needs of the babies are met in the families. Many other cultures are very big in, especially in Egypt, they build on top of the houses that they're in and things like that. And here we don't tend to, you know, like you'll say, oh, the Indian family's got like 15 living in their house, but that would be mum, dad, his mum, and dad maybe, or one of them, hers, probably one of their sisters, the kids, and then the older kids might have grown up and got their wife, their partner, and they stay together and they work as a family. The thing with most people who end up under social care is usually because people are isolated and alone. And for me, one of the hardest things as a mother was leaving my children with anybody. And when you drop them off at school, it's different. You go to the school open day, you speak to the headmaster. I'm not saying that things don't go on really bad in schools. Let's not open that can of worms here, yeah? Now, I'm not here to talk about child sexual abuse. I'm here to talk about where forced adoption exposed is right now, who is here, who is around, who watches the videos, who is part of, obviously, not even knowing who I was, but you're watching all of this website stuff that's going on, that's the troll team. I don't know where that stuff goes. I'm not in any of the other forced adoption groups. And the reason that I'm not is because I've taken so much crap. And on July 2013, when I stepped onto Downing Street, the mother, Kellie, the businesswoman who created Challenge Britain, became a desperate mother for a plea of help. And what the fuck is going on? My kids have happened. The exact words that I typed were, social services have got my kids. They've got my kids. What do I do? And when I typed that in, and I actually created a Facebook page called that, social services have got my kids. What do I do? And I woke up the next morning and there was like 300 and something people on there. And it was like, whoa, hang on a minute. I'm not the only one in this situation right now. I really thought it was such a fuck up. The information was so evidently clearly wrong, and I would be able to present that and prove that. But it took 5 months to get my medical notes to prove that. And in that 5 months, it was fucking hell. And having to see my children in that contact centre, having to go through these fuckwits of strangers that don't know me, that are trying to tell me that this is my reality when actually it's got nothing to do with who I am or my life. And it's like, it's really, 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 really difficult when it's called gaslighting, by the way. If you were in a domesticated relationship, because you got to be PQs, and I'm not very PQ when it comes to LGBT. I'm straight down the line. What people do in their life is up to them. Yes, I played in the minors, but never went pro. That was my healing. That was my trauma. I dealt with my mental health issues, and I took back to the straight line. So, and many people will hate me for saying this, but Jesus rocks. The Lord loves us all. The Lord loves us all anyway. He loves all of his children. He knows your journey. He knows your walk. He knows where you're up to. He knows your own speed. But what I don't know is where forced adoption exposed is up to, where it goes from here, where I take it. I have completely cut all admin people that have been around keeping the fort since 2015. So July 2013, I'd gone from, they've got my kids' social services, I've got my kids, what do I do? And the first person that came into me was a group called Family Army. And then I was brought into, so let's go Family Army. So I found Scott. So it's called Stolen Children of the UK. And from what I understand, it was first ever owned by Michelle Morris, who could be behind the website. I don't know. And then a guy called David Jenkins took that over, and a guy called Sam. And I came and turned up literally from Wrexham in Wales. So I come from Leyland. Save the Family was in Wrexham. In Northolt, so Flintshire. And I literally train hopped all the way to London to this event that said there was going to be like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people there. And I was like, I got to get to this event. I'd had my benefits cut. I was ceased from working. I'd had my bank accounts closed. I'd had my car taken away from me. I'd had my passport detained. I'd had my phone taken. I'd had my laptop taken. Obviously, as you know, Aaron and Faith taken. Daniel remained with his dad while this was going on. And Liam stayed with me. Liam came to every court case. And he gave up his college for seeing Aaron and Faith. Social workers that were involved, and no person gave a shit about Liam and Daniel. They didn't exist to them. They were only interested in my two young children, Aaron and Faith, who were 2 and 3. And I saw, obviously, them for their 4th and 3rd birthday. The judge that took my children was District Judge Andrew Shaw, who was the very, very, very same solicitor for Paul Burrows, who was the butler for Princess Diana. I don't know whether this connects to Northern Ireland. I don't know whether my children being taken connects to me in the media. What I do know is I've had another conversation with social care where the health visitor has confirmed that both Elijah and Shiloh are registered with a doctor. Not that I have to, it's not law, but they are. And that they have had their appointments at the dentist. In fact, Monday we got a phone call to cancel Elijah's because the clinic had to close for the day due to staff shortage. And the other one was, everybody knows what I'm like with my swearing. People around here know I'm not one of them mums, by the way. And the reason that I'm using these is because the website that's the adversary of me, which people have asked, was it me and Amber? No, it's not. It's whoever the fuck is doing it. I don't know. So obviously, because this stuff's on the website, social, get involved. Why does social get involved? Because people make phone calls. And back last year, I've had social a number of times since coming here in January 2016. I'm here in Portsmouth in the UK. The reason that I decided to come here is because I left Downing Street July 2015. So July 2013, I joined Stolen Children of the UK, and I decided to wear their cap and put their cap on. It was their cap, not my cap. And when I got there, I had a business card given to me by a woman called Belinda Mackenzie, and I put the card in my pocket. Little old woman, listened, spoke. I wasn't very impressed by the fact that there was only really a few people there, probably about 20 at most. And that they were just shouting that David Cameron was a pedo, and a lot of the parents were pissed with quite craziness. And I'd actually turned up in a really beautiful butterfly dress, my little strappy sandals, and I took a pair of jeans with me because obviously I didn't know if I was staying over, what I was doing. I just knew that I told Liam I'd literally gone from the 13th of December 2013 to June 13th of December 2012 to June 2013, and it was then the trial. So for those that don't understand, once a child is taken, and let me explain, you've got 72 hours to stop this going into a 26-week process. Children cannot be taken by a social worker. Social workers cannot remove your child. Police can only remove your child if they call a child protection order or if they have an order from a court. A social worker cannot remove your children on an order of a court. The police have to attend. Now, when, say, a neighbour or say, I'm online here now, it's going to rattle people to fuck that I am here right now. It's going to piss people up all over the place. I have already been threatened with a bullet to my head. I've already had police at my door trying to hold me back, saying I'd be threatened to be shot if I had attended the demo that was back here, I think, a couple of years back. I have been threatened in so many ways to stop what I do with forced adoption exposed, end it, blah, 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 blah. When I first started, I truly was a shell-shocked, what the fuck has just happened, mum, on her own. No dad backing me. No mum backing me. None of my family backing me. Everybody, now I had, during the 13 weeks, I had 11 of my closest, dearest friends write to the courts. The difficulty is I wasn't living near my neighbourhood. I couldn't just go to my next door or my next door neighbour run in and go, Kelly, what's going on? I wasn't in my life. I'd arrived at Save the Family on 31st of October 2012, and I hadn't even, it was in the middle of nowhere, it was in the middle of woodlands, and it was a big place, so, I wasn't planning to be there. I wasn't planning to stay there. I was just literally getting stuff done, getting things done. And my aim was to get in. I had dreams, we were buying land. We were going to buy a house. Yes, I knew I was going to obviously be building a business, but there was like a 10-year business plan. There was definitely a 5-year, 10-year business plan behind this that was building and progressing. And then all of a sudden, I actually put up a TikTok video and it got closed down. And what I had done with it, I was thinking if it was there, I had shown me going in 2010 to working with Department of Work and Pensions on this 26-week to employment, self-employment thing, showed all of the little leaflets that you get with it. And I think I'd shown, obviously, I can't remember if I had the Donald Trump pass on there. No, because that wasn't, I think I might have had that on there. So I basically showed 2010 and then 2011 when I was crewing for Richard Branson, Alan Sugar and Donald Trump. No, Donald Trump was 2012. And then literally being handed Flintshire County Council Social Services card, and I did a TikTok of it and it got shut down. And I even showed my bank accounts and everything and stuff. So I still do things, I'm still here, but I'm not on the front line in the way that I was 2013, 14, 15. And the reason being, as you know, and nor behind the Twitter wars, obviously forced adoption exposure, don't take my child was created, other fussy things were done, but because I was gagged, I was just the one going, right, this parent, speak to them, right, I was putting out messages, can anyone speak to this journalist, boom, can anyone do this, if there was a programme on, I was underneath it, boom, boom, boom. I still do things like this now, but not in the way that I was. After Aaron and Faith were taken and Mother's Day came in, and I was trying to talk to the staff that were on on campus as human beings, mother to mother, that look, my kids have been taken. This is complete misunderstanding. They've said that EDS is the easiest condition to claim to have. It's not. Yeah, it's not. My children have it. It's a 50-50 chance. I really wanted to stab the fucking cook that was like the so-called chef at Save the Family. Like, I really wanted to stab her. I physically was that angry at what she said and what she did that inside me, yeah, I wanted to grab the knife that was next to it, pick it up and go bang, bang. And I felt it and I ran. And I ran 7 miles. And I come back and the anger was still there. And I ran again. And I come back and the anger was still there. And I'd sat down with a foster carer who was working at Save the Family. And she was being really lovely and talking to me and explaining the process and trying to help me understand the situation that I was in, how to do it. And it was complaints. All I could do was file complaints. The information was incorrect. I had to file complaints. When you can file complaints against establishment, they don't like it. But we have these human rights that exist and we are allowed to implement them. But the challenge is people don't understand that, one, obviously, these are all private companies and they're making a lot of money. And they got 26,000 to place Aaron and Faith for adoption. And they also made a lot of money every week that they were with the foster carers, which people, I don't know what it is at the moment, anywhere between £500-800, depending if they've got your PIP, blah, 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 blah. As I told you, my dad first got told that I was in foster care by social services sending him a financial statement. And the first thing they took was my mum's child benefit. So where does Forced Adoption Exposed go from here? It's going to have to be one of the biggest campaigns that we have ever seen in the next 7 weeks. And the reason that I say this is because the Victorian cases are about to open up the biggest can of worms, and they're not saying historic and current anymore. So, as you know, in 2014, 5th of November 2014, the United Nations came over to, is it United Nations or EU? The EU came over to investigate Great Britain for child trafficking and state kidnap. Then we exited Brexit. Now, Sabine McNeill has never ever read my paperwork, been through my case, by the way, and neither has Belinda McKenzie. The day before Aaron and Faith were taken, a petition came up on Crackbook. Crackbook is Facebook to me. And it was a petition that was shared by a gentleman called Sid Hittickety, who joined me for Walk for Justice. And then obviously people used the 74-year-old man as a promo. But it was me that didn't stop walking. I couldn't stop. I'd have killed people. I mean it, I'd have killed people back then. I'd have killed somebody. I would have done. Not because I had mental health issues, not because I was crazy, but because I was battling, ringing the police station and telling them that there was a bomb at the train station, going to the bathroom with the carer at the contact centre and silently shooting her in the head and leaving with Aaron and Faith as I shot everybody as I walked out the contact centre. Please don't do this, anyone. Like, don't even get this idea that I'm telling you this was a fucking battle. And I'm not here to condone this, because when I say things, sometimes people go and do stuff. I've had a lot of shit. People take roofs. Look, I'm telling you, explaining you. Not here to condone anybody losing the plot with these people at all, whether it has happened, but that's not what I'm here to say. And I don't know where you are in your life, in your pain, in your grief, in your anger, in your hurt, in your shame, your embarrassment, your humiliation, your however you may be feeling about your own situation. I don't know whether you're a adopted child who's here because you're adopted. I don't know whether you're a mother who's only just had a child removed and you're like me, looking and searching for anything that you can, or whether, you know, you've been here for 9 years like me, or whether you've been going through this 20 years or 40 years or 50 years. You know, from the youngest child, I'm assuming people could probably, even if there's someone 113, you know, somebody could have been going through this 100 years. This has been going on, never ending. So let's go forward. And how do we go forward with this? We go forward with this, and somebody came in to help me set up the page with me, but I haven't been able to commit to it on that way with Family Reunited UK. And there have been people reunited. But I'm here, and I've had lots of stuff going on as well, because obviously when Aaron and Faith were taken, I had no stability. I'd had anything that, my furniture that I'd had for years, even my Christmas decorations, I've got underneath my bed here, I've got, you know, like pictures and stuff that I still have that I've collected, but I lost everything. I lost everything. My fridge, my washing machine, I gave away. And that's actually how I got into the network and met the people that we created Forced Adoption Exposed. And that's because somebody in, I think it was Scott, or it might have been Children Screaming to Be Heard, because I went to go to an event called Children Screaming to Be Heard on the 5th of December 2013. And I was launching, no, it wouldn't have been that far back, because Walk for Justice was set for the 11th of September 2013. And that was because that was the day that I moved in with my mum. So the 11th of September is always really significant to me. And also it was what happened with nine, yeah, let's not get into all that stuff. So, so you had these coinciding events that already existed. And I think they were probably set up around 2010, funny enough. But they weren't ever created by me. Walk for Justice was created by me. And I only knew Sid, and I didn't know Sid personally, because of being involved with Challenge Britain. I'd followed a page called Lawful Rebellion. And I'd seen this post come out by a guy called Sig Higginty, and it was to share a petition against forced adoption by a lady called Sabine McNeil. And it was signed Mackenzie Friends. I didn't even know what Mackenzie Friends. Please do know, when I first came into this, the only section I knew was how to avoid a C-section. That was it. I've had to learn Section 20s, learn all of these things, and I will never ever know them all. I would have to sit down and really study it. I don't have a law degree, but I do have a psychology degree, but I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a master's in psychology or a PhD. I didn't finish because of just how everything went, and also because psychology stopped serving me. And the reason that I went into psychology is because I was so sick of all these people that were having these meetings about me, but never talking to me. And I wanted to know, what does this psychologist know that I don't know? So I went and learned. And what I didn't like about it is they said those that were abused go on to abuse. I said, whoa, this is wrong. And I've challenged psychology ever since. However, I've been in this world 9 years now, to the point that I don't help parents, by the way. But back then, I was able to at least listen up to 4 hours of my time Yeah, I think it became quite consecutively that if someone said, like, can I speak to you, that I'd probably be on the phone about 4 hours listening to their entire case. But nobody listened to mine. And I think because I came out there, now I had no phone, I had no recording facilities, but I came onto a network where people were recording and they were using Bambuza, YouTube, Facebook. I don't think Facebook Live was around then. And I think Periscope, things like that. And it wasn't until Anonymous 2014 did someone say, Kelly, you need a phone, and there's a phone. And so I had no phone. So any videos that were taken and put up on social media, I knew nothing about. Then a website went up, and it was not a website, but this blog went up, and it was by this woman called Sharon Kilby, and she was associating me with these friends, which was, so when I first ever wrote, they've got my kids' social services, have got my kids, the first person at the top of Google was Ian Joseph, and Ian Joseph was Runaway, Runaway. And during my time of the care and placement order being granted in June, to being gagged, having the non-molestation order, Family Army turning up at the property in masks, anonymous masks, taking me to Prestatyn to theirs, who were classed as Family Army, which was a home of a mother whose children had been taken, who were back home, and Stella. Everybody's got fake names, by the way. I don't know people's real names unless they tell me. Many do. Most people come onto social media in a fake account. Even the trolls, they don't ever troll me in accounts. And it's called Flying Monkeys, and it's a smear campaign, basically. So I've had a smear campaign against me since 2010. And that smear campaign, as I know now, by Portsmouth Social Care, they have confirmed in a letter that any interaction from social care to me has been because of an anonymous caller. Now, I don't know yet whether there was an anonymous caller at the time that Aaron and Faith were taken. It was so quick, it was dumb. I need to go for a wee. I'm starting to get itchy. So, forced adoption exposed has existed since October 2013, I think. And it was created because obviously I was Kellie Cotton. I had my kellycotton.co.uk and kelly.com. I was a coach. I was helping people with purpose, passion, principles, and there was a bigger project which was Step Up Britain, and we were all going to step up for Britain, and we were going to enable the disabled, and there was all this stuff going on, and I was going to get to the root of the problem of great fucking Britain. And then, bang, I'm sliding down a wall, numb, crying, and learning the master of the secret cry. The cry that goes on when you can't hear a sound, but you're going, and you are actually crying. And I did that for a very, very, very long time. And I still keep the tears behind me, even 9 years. If anybody ever tells you it gets easier when you've actually had the adoption happened, forced adoption exposed, the irony was created, even though my children hadn't actually been adopted. I was trying to stop it. I was trying to stop my children from being adopted. And they didn't actually get adopted until June 2015. But there is a gap in between. And I'd done an appeal. I had no legal aid for my appeal. It was one I'd done myself. It was like a long fucking letter with a case number on it. And it was refused. So then obviously you're learning, and people are explaining things to me like revoke the adoption order, which is later on, but to oppose the order, to contest all these sort of things. I'm trying to think of really political names and things that there's one particular one, but you've got to wait 6 months. Now, lots has changed. In 2013, I took to the point of going to the courts, sitting in the courts, speaking to judges, speaking to people. My personal friend who was at court with me, who stepped in to be an advocate, who'd, funny enough, organised and sorted the diagnosis for Asperger's. And she created Autism Women Matter and took things to the United Nations. Sabine, I didn't have a passport, and Sabine McNeil, I did stay at Belinda's, and I stayed at Belinda's because I was facing a committal to prison. And because I was promoting that I was going to turn up at this event called Screaming to be Heard, and I was going to speak, and we were going to promote Walk for Justice, and I'd spoken to Sid about whether he would join me. I hadn't stopped. I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. What was I meant to do? Just go and sit down on a floor somewhere, put my hands out and be on the streets that way. My friend Jason took me and Liam in, and Daniel stayed in school with his dad, and he helped me with this whole getting Walk for Justice done, and Sid's daughter. And then we said, right, okay, Screaming to be Heard it is, which was organised by Maggie Tuttle and was to do with Andy Peacher. And I got to speak to Andy Peacher when Family Army picked me up, and there was a radio show on with Ian Joseph, and he was run away. I went, I can't run away. How can I run away? I've got 2 boys and they've got my kids. I can't run away. I've got to stand here and fight this. Like, how do we do this? So this whole movement had been run away. And then there was these people on the front line. And then there was this another family, which people know as Baby P, which was Sam and Bupesh, that come along. And I'm getting Walk for Justice to focus on the 13th of December. And I'm going to court and I'm going to fucking smash it. And I get a phone call saying, like, will you come to this hospital? And it's this family. And it's like, whoa, hang on a minute. It's like, but... So I went to the hospital, and then when I left, there'd been this big storm and the police hadn't let them back in. They'd taken the baby, and I was like, what? This is a mother who's got stitches, who's our baby taken? And I was like, what the fuck? And it's like, then there's more families, and there's more families, and there's more families. And when my committal to prison happened, I was actually served at Screaming to be Heard, and I was ordered to stop talking about Aaron and Faith and to stop talking about them being taken by Flintshire County Council on the 13th of December 2012. And I was facing a 2-year committal to prison. And I was like, what? You want to take my fucking kids and then you want to send me to prison? Like, seriously? What? The audacity? Really? You want to send me to prison? And I turned up to London, and so there was 2 cases. One got vacated, and I was to come back. No, the last one got vacated. So I came to court, and I was like, do it. And they were like, look, if you take the videos down, if you take everything down, we'll leave it at that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. So anyway, there was another court case coming out, and I went and met with the people who did the film Traffic. And they were the ones that recorded the 6 videos of me that were back then. So that was, I can't remember the names now. They really don't like me, by the way. And I've been at every protest when they've been there to film Traffic, and they've kept me out of everything. And in that first ever video as well, it was me, and then they put Stella in on something. And anyway, they didn't like me. So... Marmite, hey, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to restore my family, and that's it. And I pray and hope I do, and home for Christmas for me is something that I focus on all the time. I'm not into pagan holidays, but everybody wants that vision, and for me it's having all of my children around that sort of Christmas table. Doesn't matter what it is, what you have, doesn't matter what these things are, but it's having that, even if it's a Monday evening family dinner, having Elijah and Shiloh has been really, really difficult for me. I love them so much, and I love my life with my children, and you know, I love Dean to smithereens, but we have been battered by social massively. You know, we went through social the first time and I was cleared immediately. I presented the evidence to them immediately that shows that Aaron and Faith were unlawfully and unnecessarily detained. I showed them the upheld complaints that have never been ceased into a court from the ICPC, the care complaint, because Wales is different to England, and so it's care council there. I don't know if much has changed. And it's been so difficult. Like, I've been through 3 different properties because I've had to come from the streets. And in 2015, it was when Hayden was found hung in his cell, and people were trying to call me when he was in prison, and it was like, I'm in my own court case. I can't get involved in families' cases. I'm in my own court case. I'm trying to still learn things. I'm still asking for help. And you know, it was like I'd got in this boat, and I'd gone out in this boat to go to London, and I'm rowing this boat to London, and I get to Downing Street, and then obviously, you know, in gets Arjuna and Steph and another mum, and we end up under a tree at Hyde Park, and then you know, I end up staying for the night and then fucking off to the royal birth instead of, and then I come back and I meet other parents, and then I'm rowing and I'm going back to Wrexham to see my court case, and you know, I've got people, and it's like, but it's my court case, and then I'm going to London for my committal to prison, and then Belinda's around, and then Sabine's about, and then, you know, all of a sudden I'm going back up because I'm going to go and see my boys in Preston, and I'm having to drop my bags because I was literally moving around on trains, train hopping with 5 fucking suitcases, a laptop, no phone still at this point, and you know, trying to move sort of forward and staying at Jason's, and then having to go when he's got his kids, and going to Monique's and trying to build and try and get stuff done. And then eventually in 2015, I'd met a friend who took me to meet his father, who was a solicitor, but he wasn't a solicitor in family law. It was some corporate law, but he was able to go through my paperwork, show me the adopter's letter for them, so basically I was in London in 2015 to oppose the adoption order. So I couldn't do anything until they applied for the adoption order. So when a child is placed with potential adopters, they've got there's 10 weeks, I think it was back then, and then they can apply to adopt them. Most tend to wait a couple of years and make sure everything's okay. And then they get to keep money coming in during that time where they clear their mortgage off, blah, 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 blah. Some people want to do it very quick, and it's yes, we're for life. It's not just let's see how this goes, as they're going through the boxes looking for blonde hair, blue eyes, and things like that. There's different kinds of adopters, by the way, and there are some really lovely, genuine ones that would do everything in their power to help reunite. And there are different reasons that people end up in social, be it that it's a learning challenge that they call it, or a mental health label that they want to call it, or a physical condition, or, you know, you're at the police station because, you know, you've shoplifted, or you're into drugs, or you're in prison, or, you know, your child has been abused by you, or abused by a family member, or abused by their parent, or abused at school, or you know, a child has gone missing. It doesn't matter if you have a family. It doesn't matter if you're a 21-year-old with a child and you go out to a club and you get really pissed and you end up in hospital. If you've got children, there will be a multi-agency framework if there are police involved. It's just the way that this system works. And it's meant to be there to help people. But as I showed you at the beginning with Exposure Don't Take My Child, and that was done in 2014 by Blakeways on ITV, and they were floodgated with people. On ITV, a lady, I can't remember what her name is, Claire something, she was like a counsellor, has always talked about forced adoption. when I put both the boys, as in Liam and Daniel, to their dads, and I set off for London permanently to find a solution, and I knew the next battle would be down there. He said to me, this is my ex-husband, he said, Kelly, if you're going to do this, then stay away from David Icke. He's lost it, but find Christopher Booker. And that's what I did. I literally Googled Christopher Booker, blah, 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 who's now rest in peace. Other people have rest in peace. Other people have died. But 2013, 14, 15, other stuff happened as well with Wake Ups, which was in Bolton, Liverpool, Manchester. And then obviously the Yellow Jackets, and then other things have grown, and then XR, which is Zorro, and lots of other stuff has been going on. I have found that whenever I used to turn up at an event, parents used to come purely to meet with me, and then they would set up in their own name, and then a troll would start. When I first came into this, they were screaming to be heard. Children, Battle for Britain's Children, or the Knight Foundation, and Stolen Children in the UK, and then obviously I think Faces of Forced Adoption was created later, which has been a massive troll out of mine, which could be behind the website. And then obviously I met people like Lisa Bartle, who I didn't accept help from, and I didn't take help off people as well because I didn't know them. Now, the reason that I stayed at Belinda Mackenzie's is because I drove with Jason on the 28th of October 2013, and the papers said, do not enter London, there is a storm. And it was fine. And I still turned up to my committal to prison, even though they wrote to me to say that they'd vacated. I'd refused to take the videos down. I'd gone on and done the 6 videos, and it was going crazy. And then there's the UK column, which is Brian Gerrish, who's never interviewed me. And there are reasons behind why, because of things. But then there are stories and conspiracy theories about everybody that was considered a prolific campaigner. Now, in 2015, a police officer spoke to me who used to call me Lucky. And he said to me, if anyone from Black Bloc infiltrates your movement, you've grown so big. I didn't know about all of these stuff. I didn't know about Reclaim the Streets. I didn't know about campaigns that have been out there since 2015. And let me tell you something about Brian Harvey, because I was there on this day. Brian Harvey didn't go down to protest at the Occupy London, or even was he connected with Bill Maloney. He went down and kicked off outside Downing Street, crying drunk about his taxes. And then we were all on the wall outside Parliament to do with Occupy London. And Bill Maloney was there speaking for one of the survivors of sexual abuse groups, or Come Clean on Come Clean, which was Hayden and all of that. So then you've got another movement, which was Archie, which was Human Worth. Then obviously you've got IDAD. Then you've got Fathers for Justice. Then you've got Families Thing. So the Christmas with Camerons was done through Fathers, Families Need Fathers. And then obviously there was Chris. And then linking into other people, going down to... originally Jason did the website for creating the child abuse inquiry, and then I think one of the other mums and who really hated me, so they kicked me out of all of that as that grew. So Chris never knew my involvement with all of that, which is another Chris. And so I'm still here, I plant seeds. Is this all to do with Step Up Britain that started in 2010? The reason that I started 2010 was to basically try to bridge the gap in what the World Economic Forum were doing with the Great Reset. And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. You're talking about like cutting the anchors. So you're talking about people that, particularly the people under social, really. So you're talking about the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The people that they class as the lower class, even the working class. You're talking about someone like me who's just been paid tonight by Universal Credits, and my garage and my rent and my car insurance have already gone out. So, I'm probably down to something like 600 quid already. And then I still got my direct debits to go out on my bills. And we start a whole new financial year, which is the end of 31st of March, starting for the 1st of April, which should originally be New Year's. And then obviously that was changed in Caesar times, I think it was. But where does Forced Adoption Exposed go from here? It's going to have to be a campaign, because the Family Matters Legal Services, I don't want to have to give my entire life to this problem. I want this problem to be balanced and rectified. We could be going to World War fucking 3, but in the meantime, people still are having social ringing up because somebody's made a call and they go into fight and flight and they don't know what's going on, or they get a letter to say that we have cause for concern, and there's been a statutory meeting and you've been invited to attend the Child Protection Conference, and at the bottom it will say, if you fail to respond to this letter, we will have the power to remove your children in court. And then you get thrown into this process. Sometimes people have been in it the whole children's school years because they just don't know how to come out of it. And some people, like myself, and I've never signed anything, not a Section 20, not an adoption order. I refused to sign anything. They had my kids under duress. They were taken, and they were taken on false evidence, and they pretty much destroyed my family, but they haven't destroyed me. And Aaron and Faith are now 13 and 12. And every year I still do the same things. Whatever clues I get in the letter, I Google and find. This year's been a massive big battle because the letter didn't turn up. And then I was having to deal with people online ringing and causing police, social, RSPCA. I've had it all last year. Social, police. So hang on. So they brought social, so I got some drums. Then they brought the police, so I brought a fire engine. Then they brought the RSPCA, and I've started a whole thing on dogs. So anyway, I've got a dog sitting here as well. Dean and I are not married, and obviously in 2015 I went on a radio show. I can't remember whose it was back then, and I said, hey, I'm going off to get my life sorted and get my kids home. And the adoption was done. Yes, you can overturn an adoption. I am only still pushing for his fucking upright MRI. And yes, every time I save, move forward, back. I've seen a chiropractor for the first time, and I've had my pelvis put in, and I've had my feet and everything like that. I still deal with the head and everything with my body, and a chiropractor can't cure my condition, but they can help put me back together, which was something that I've never had before, but it's expensive. I need to work, basically. And the reason that I couldn't work before I had Aaron and Faith, before I had Elijah and Shiloh, was because I was listening to parents' stories. I was traveling around. It's not like you can turn around and charge people, and I'm not qualified to do anybody's statements. I still really don't know how to do them properly myself. I do have mass dyslexia. I do struggle with paperwork. I've got shitloads of stuff here. But Family Matters Legal Services is having its own legal people, and that's all coming out probably more closer to summer, because I can only work at the pace that I can work in, and the people that troll me burn me out sometimes, because I'll come out with the intention of doing something and then they'll start a whole comment thing, and it's really difficult dealing with bullies, whether you've got to come in online or walk into a classroom or go to work or deal with people on the streets or learn to love thy neighbours or within your own family, or just dealing with confidence when you go anywhere. I don't give a shit what people think about me, but I do give a shit when, say, on the websites, they're making claims that, my children don't go to the dentist, which they do. And there is evidence, because I've actually tagged myself at the dentist and posted pictures. I don't walk around with cameras all over me for people who do follow me on Kellie. I have not advanced to getting it to the point to do a forced adoption exposed documentary. I don't have that equipment. I found it very difficult to work with people in terms of, say, helping people, because they don't. I've been really raw and real with everybody all the way through. I'm pretty transparent anyway. And because I believe that if you lie to yourself, you cheat yourself. So to be open and honest and raw is the only way you get true transformation. So it's like, even now I'm struggling with my book. And with my book, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like, even talking about, you know, like escorting days back in when I put myself through university, it's like, am I putting myself forward for a criminal offence? Am I going to go into court about everything that it's put me through and what it's done? Not then, but from Aaron and Faith being taken and what it's done to Liam and Daniel. And with having the boys, obviously, I went through social the first time and it was all good. Everything was crushed. But then I ended up with online trolls. I was trying to really genuinely build a life with Dean and our sons, and heal with my 2 older boys, and you know, start getting contact with Aaron and Faith. And that's what was happening here. And then all of a sudden, some cunt online started causing shit again, and I ended up with it all going on again, and it was causing me trauma on trauma. And I really did have suicide battles at one point. And I do still have really bad days, especially if it's coming up to a birthday. And very recently, I got confabulated with the dates and celebrated a month early. And even things like, oh, you know, Liam's 25, he's 26. And, you know, it's like, where's the years? There's like 10 years. It's, you know, it's like 11 years since the media. And I haven't challenged Britain in the way that Challenge Britain was meant to be. It was meant to be a breakthrough programme on the BBC, commissioned by the BBC. Obviously, I'd made a goad about bringing Jimmy Savile back. Then people made the complaints coming with Jimmy Savile. And so obviously my commission didn't go on. That was meant to go off in the media, and then government were going to work with me with what was the BLT, and then obviously what was going to be the way to help people through the benefit system, which would be work coaches, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously 2012, I went missing, and I'm literally on Downing Street and going to London, Bristol, Brighton, Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, literally still, like, even going to the police stations and trying to get someone to listen, going to Scotland Yard, finding solicitors. But once you're in a court case, you're not allowed to speak to people. And that's what this gagging thing I talk about is. And it's to protect the families, but it doesn't. James Mumby gave permission for a video that was taken of me. Wake up, sorry, I'm going to have to go in a minute. That was taken by Monique Blakemore, who paid this in the United Nations. And this was in 2013 that it went to United Nations. I'm going to have to go because I've got hiccups. But what I want people to do, and if Amber is here, then please, in the comments, drop down every video that we have got of things of what Forced Adoption Exposed has created. And then obviously Amber picked up the torch to just keep Forced Adoption Exposed ticking away. And I have come on and done a live at one point. And I have asked people to obviously submit their stories to put into a book to end Forced Adoption Exposed. And I am going to create, again, a campaign pack. I'm not asking people to come out on the streets. There's no point. I'm asking people to get their own lives in order, to heal themselves, to restore themselves. And it's hard to do. I don't know what it's like for people that haven't gone on to have other children. Elijah and Shiloh are a blessing, who keep me going every day. Had I not have them, I don't know whether I would have even still been here, because I left with Dean, who is the father of my 2 boys. I left with him a matter weeks of everything just being over and it being rubber stamped. And he took me off. He said, you've got to stop. You can't do this. You have to come off. And I was like, no. And he was like, look, just come with me to Bristol. Let's just go to the land, which was Spiral Tribe's land. And let's just get things sorted and get you back into thinking. And then obviously Dean was arrested, held on remand. I held the governor in at Bristol. I got him out Christmas Eve, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously came here because I found out I was pregnant. And then we separated and we stalked and found out I was pregnant. I don't know where you all are in terms of your own journey. If you are still within the 26 weeks court process, I would advise you to get down on your knees and pray and trust your intuition and trust your true instincts, and to ask everybody to come together and say, look, this is spiraling out of control, and the only outcome for me is the return of thing. If you have things to work on, then have the help for that and work with them to do that. There is so much help here in the UK and around the world for drug rehabilitation, alcoholism, sexual abuse trauma, relationship challenges. Yes, there is a corruption within the system, but the majority of social workers are just kids out of school who go to university with the good intentions of wanting to be missionaries, wanting to be people that do good in the world. Corruption goes on when things are rewards or incentives. Some have saviour complexes. Some are just vile, nasty people. And some will make decisions about not even liking you. But the majority genuinely get up with the intentions to do good. And that's the same with foster carers. For every story of an adopter or a social worker or foster carer that has either abused or raped a child, there is also a story of children that have been saved by their adopters and foster carers. And this line is very, 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 very difficult. I've spent a lot of time on the streets since my children were taken to understand the perception of the judge by assuming me to be homeless when I was actually in the Ramada Hotel, which is still homeless because I didn't have a mortgage or a secure tenancy or a private rental. Even private rental is actually not a stable tenancy. I don't sound so mad now talking about before the walls and lockdown happens and people were going, what's she talking about with lockdown, when I slightly panicked at one point thinking, here it comes. I don't want to get into any of that stuff. We are now heading into the next 2 weeks as the end of winter. So what I'm asking people to do is let's all give ourselves a bit of a prune and let's get the shit out and let's use the last couple of weeks of winter to, one, locate all of your paperwork, get them boxes out, and also just to complete anything that's going on in your life at the moment that you haven't been able to get on top of, even if you're in debt. So go right, debt management. Use the 31st of March and the 1st of April as a new year, and use it as a way of going, right, after the 31st, nothing is going on. And it doesn't matter who it is that you're dealing with or where you're up to, write to them. It doesn't matter whether you're dealing with contacts with social, long-term foster care. You draw that line and then you draw where that new season is, and that's spring, and then heading into summer, and then obviously we have a new winter coming in. But with these seasons, obviously we want to go into each season making memories and being the best version of ourselves and best version of our family, and working on everything moving forward, things becoming better. But we're in a time at the moment where obviously, you know, people's lives are having to leave homes. We have lots of Ukrainian families here in the UK that are not going to understand that when you sign a Section 20, you are putting your child into foster care. And this is going to happen to a lot of people. So this is sort of stepped me forward to go, whoa, hang on a minute. This is a bit painful. We've got so many families being separated, children separated, and we've got a whole world in chaos at the moment. But right now, Great Britain isn't under what's going on with the central banking stuff. And we still have a chance at this particular point to really work on what's really going on. Climate control is usually about Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is crying. She cries and weeps for all us mothers, all us fathers, all the grandparents, all the aunties, uncles, cousins, siblings that are divided and separated. The Lord restores and is love and wants us to prosper. We're not here to survive. We're not here to struggle. We're not here to be in suffering. But suffering is part of it. But we have to overcome that suffering. And when a child is taken from, it creates a grief. And it's a horrible grief to deal with. And it makes it very, very difficult for you to work with the services. And one of the things that I'm trying to push at the moment with the system understanding, and this is the police and social, is when you're dealing with a family that's never had an interaction with you, and you come out of nowhere into their lives, and they're greeted by 2 social workers and 2 police officers, the family goes into fight and flight. And certainly if they're being and then presented with false information, it causes somebody to rear up. I've been explaining to families that when the police turn up, they're not there for you unless there has been a criminal charge and they're coming to arrest you. That's different. They're there so the social worker can access the property and everything's good, and that the social worker is not turning up to a needle being jabbed into her, someone going to stab her, someone going to kick her, you know, and all of this sort of stuff. So the police are actually there for the protection of the social worker. And usually no child protection has been called. It's only that the social worker needs to work with the family and they just want to make sure the kids are okay, everything's good, and decide where it's going from there. They might have already had a statutory meeting. This might not have happened. But it could just come in from a call from the neighbours, hey, the kids are screaming. And the challenge is there's people out there that will teach you to tell them to go away. Now, it does work. By the way, I have told them to go away from being here. If I knew what I knew back then, Aaron and Faith would still be with me. I can't change what's happened in my past. I can only change what it means to me. And I have never, ever given up on Aaron and Faith, and I will never, ever give up on Aaron and Faith. I'm a mother of 6 children, and I have felt that people have tried to push me into this new life and this new world and forget my children. And that isn't happening. I'm probably going to get my children's ages wrong now, but, you know, Liam is 26, Daniel is 21, 22 now, that's just funked me up, and Aaron is 13 and Faith is 12. Elijah is 5 and Shiloh is 4. So I'm a mother of 2 young children, and it's been really, really difficult, especially when I only had Elijah, and people go, oh, is he your only child? No, he's not. And then I'd go bang. When I came to Portsmouth, I wanted to just get my head down, and social said like no campaigning, and I was like, well, it's tough shit. I've got a thing going over into EU. You can't stop me following my own justice route. You can't stop me from getting justice. Now, it is only just social here. I've only just sort of stepped back and gone, we can see what's going on now. There's a smear campaign on you. They ring in. They just let me know if anything comes through, or if they're concerned, like they did. They asked me, like, dentist, they spoke to the health visitor confirmed it, so no case was opened on me. It was difficult for me last time because I ended up with someone posting all over Dean's social media. I'd actually, for the first time, ended up having to ring the police for an incident that was going on outside. And then, of course, then I've gone to go and get the milk, and I've had the police, like, grab the buggy. And that was when they... And I didn't... None of that stuff was true. I actually got Elijah back in 5 days. I was assaulted by a police officer. I wasn't campaigning, wasn't doing anything. I didn't get my kids taken. Elijah was placed with my mum, and I ended the matter within 5 days. It didn't even go to court. But I have had them again, and they've basically been told, look, you're dealing with people. They've proved it, that it's anonymous phone callers. So anyway, where does forced adoption exposed go from here? What I'm basically asking people to do is just jot down. Now, please do remember that if you jot down in here, you are this is a public page. I'm not going to open up the comments at the moment because I'm not going to be able to give my time to this at the moment, because I am actually dealing with my own personal case. So this is why I'm saying, if we all each individually work on ourselves right now, we can work on ourselves. And I'm going to try to do the best that I can to help parents that have had children adopted. I'm not talking about people that are in it. If your child is not adopted, mate, then get over to people that are helping people that are in that system at this particular point. Your child is not forced adopted until it's happened. So this is for, obviously, the people who've had their children rubber stamped as forced adopted. Yes, they can be overturned. The question is when do you want to pick up the pen and start writing your story, and when do you want to bring things forward? And I'm in a much better position in my own life and moving forward, but I am having to work in terms of moving forward in homeschooling the boys and my own life and my own health as well. I'm still pushing for the upright MRI, and the moment that is done, everything is sorted. My chiropractor letter alone is enough, and the video to show what it was I'd been left with in this pain all this time. And the other thing is, Aaron and Faith are of an age now that it would be so much easier to sit down and talk to them and explain about what's gone on. But please do remember, you know, if you are somebody who doesn't want to be a mother, get out the way. Look, please, look, people do put children up for adoption. And yes, they change their mind. That's not a forced adoption. I'm talking about people who have had their children taken against their consent, where there was no reason to do so, even with the fact that I was at Save the Family. If they'd wanted to assess me over 26 weeks, they could have done. I was on a supported living accommodation, so they could have left them with me. I have no charges. I have not been committed of any offence. I haven't been to prison for anything other than speaking out about the unlawful detainment and forced adoption of Aaron and Faith by Flintshire County Council. All I can say is, me, the person sitting here that created Forced Adoption Exposed, that came out of meeting up with another mother and going to an adoption conference, and there was a couple of us that I just think we were just curious. We wanted to go and find out, like, what was going on, and it broke our hearts so much seeing all these pictures of all these children. And then Sarah had actually started recognising people's children, because she'd obviously been in it much longer than me. And then that was it. It was created, but I have been trolled ever since. If I ever do anything for fundraising, I get trolled. If I ask for help for petrol money, I get trolled. When I went to the adoption inquiry, I had somebody help me out, and, they don't want to mention whether they've helped you out. So that trolling and that smear campaign, please remember that smear campaign is there to prevent me doing what I'm doing. And they say it's about helping people. So if the people that are smear campaigning want to help people, then help people in your own name. Don't create a website in my name to discredit me because they believe that I'm part of something. Aaron and Faith were real children. My pain was very real. My hurt and anger was very real. I was just a very different person that didn't turn to drink, didn't turn to drugs, didn't move myself in that direction. I moved myself in, I don't know, maybe created something that has got a little bit out of hand and people have moved on it a bit more. But we really do need to take a real leap of faith this summer and spring into action. So as we end winter, I don't know, obviously I can only speak for Great Britain. Not everybody has 4 seasons. We don't particularly have 4 seasons. And peace to everybody that is in conflict at the moment and to everything that is going on. But I can only focus on where my life is at the moment. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be Friday and it's going to be the last day of the week and heading into, I think it's potentially even this weekend that the official day of spring starts. And then we head into the end of the financial year, which is the 31st of March. So I think it's this Sunday is the official day that spring is here. So for me personally, I'm taking this weekend to do, I've been doing, getting into car boot season, so there's been a bit of a pilot car boot here. So this weekend, I'm hoping it's going to be dry, and I'm going for the full clear out of everything that's coming out of my house, ready for Sunday to do my big spring clean through my house, ready to sort of take those 2 weeks up to the 31st of March to be getting my letters done, getting my stuff done. I'm heading into having to move forward with my own finances. My boys are getting bigger. I need more money. Even for my birthday, we're wanting to go to Alton Towers. That's a lot of money. That's not a benefit life. I don't want to have to make money out of people's pain and trauma, but obviously if I do set this solicitors up to the next level, then obviously they're going to be claiming your legal aid, and obviously I would be the owner of that company, but it would be my job, and it's the only way I can think of actually bringing this all to an end. And I think we need a staged protest, a staged demo. So that's something that we're going to have to work on. And there is no point doing this like Scott used to do when Parliament have already seated. This has to be something different. So I'm not rushing people out for Easter right now, but I'm saying that I'm here. I'm going to be here and I'm going to start building things up. I've been annoyed because Amber's been putting my videos out from my Kellie one onto my YouTube, and I was trying to build up to start editing the videos to start creating my weekly video on YouTube and using obviously my videos. So I am going back into my shell in terms of my pages. So I have a Facebook page, sorry, a Facebook account which has my Gmail account, which is my sort of personal, and which is a bit confused at the moment because there's so many people in there. And then I've got kellycotton.co.uk, which is my corporate entity of myself, and that has then all of my pages attached to it. And then Kellie is my page, and I use it as a diary to help me process moving forward, because I started in 2010 with Disable Enabled with the United Nations on their disability equality, and they said that we would get disability equality by 2025. So I was aware of the roadmap for sustainability to 2030, and as you know, my way of going, this really isn't good. And I felt that as somebody who was training to be an interventionist, that I was, that Step Up Britain, Challenge Britain was my intervention to enable and empower and try to, or do, to create a new standard and a new vision to bring a zero tolerance in. And people go, oh, law and order. But I'm talking about making it law that, you know, if a child is born with such a condition, that there is a management and treatment plan, and they can't be neglected. Because the problem with the multi-agency framework is it's predominantly based around child protection, and tick boxes like physical or sexual and emotional abuse. But it's not talking about supporting families. It's not talking, there is meant to be this family service. And if you're just somebody who just needs a little bit of help, that's okay. I'm talking about people when they have come in with complete raging false allegations, where information has been completely incorrect, or where somebody older has had foster care file used against them, or it just really is your child has just been taken because your neighbours just rang up and called you a cunt, you know. So yes, this happens. But forced adoption has been going on for many generations. And at the moment, the Victorian is smashing the way. Scotland is smashing the way. Ireland is smashing the way. What's been going on in Canada, what's been going on in New Zealand, it's all pushing. Now, back in 2000, and I can't remember what it was, they had the reading for the adoption inquiry. A police officer said, in 10 years' time, this is going to be the biggest scandal that has ever been seen interstate kidnap. I piped up and said, why should we wait 10 years? We need to deal with this matter now. Seeds take time and watered. We're now coming near 10 years from that adoption inquiry, moving forward. I don't know how we move forward from here in the way that we need to, as one person with one pair of hands, one pair of feet. I cannot do everything, but I can do something, and I will not let what I can't do interfere with what I can. It's a roller coaster for me within my own personal life building. It hasn't been that big happy ending that I was hoping for. In fact, it's been very isolating, very lonely, and very, very, very difficult. But it has been wonderful to spend my time with two forever growing, beautiful, wonderful little boys who just light up my day every day. And I look at Dean as my husband, but we have our battles because of the hurt that's been caused in between by the people that have been causing drama from the outside. And I do believe that obviously we're coming into a new season. And the thing that I love about life is every day is a new day. Every week is a new week. Tomorrow is a new Sabbath. And as Friday crosses in, and I've been on for quite a while now, and for you guys, it's a real big catch up with you guys, and I haven't been over on my own. So I think I've actually been here like nearly 2 hours. So for those that do catch up on it, brilliant. Other people will go, hey, 2 hours, I'm not watching this. But other people will go, hang on a minute, this is Kelly, who created forced adoption, that was out there banging it, who went, maybe I want to listen, catch up, see what's going on. Did she get her kids back? Did she not get her kids back? Did she go on? Did she end up keeping her kids? So as I've said, Liam and Daniel are adults. They've got their lives. I can ring them. Me and Liam are going through a healing process. Daniel and I need to really spend some real bonding time together, but they're both doing really well. They're up north, and obviously I'm down south, and my budget has not been so great to get back up to the north so often, which I would like to increase. I'm in a great situation because I am home ed. I don't have any problems with social here in Portsmouth other than people making anonymous calls from online. And I'm moving forward. I don't know if I'm going to do this skate in Bristol, but I hope so. So I've been spending my time skating, so quad skating. I've been spending my time painting. I've been spending my time, obviously, I've gone from a one-bedroom, so I've gone from a Roberts Centre to an interim property to getting a secure tenancy, which was a one-bedroom flat, to then having a managed move, which was a two-bedroom flat. And obviously, I still dream of owning my own home and having my own business and company again. And I'm starting to think about, getting dressed, putting some clothes on, having a bit more of a routine. I have so much of my focus is obviously in the boys, that we do everything like that. So for the last sort of few years, it's been about ants and insects and worms and trees, and going to the park and going to museums and going to the butterfly and going to SeaWorld and playing football. And we're just advancing to tennis, and you know, we've got swimming, and we're going more into the clubs, but we're not doing things where I'll go to the local boxing club for all the 5-year-olds. It's more that we work with our boxing club, who works with our family, and we're a family team. So I don't know where things are in progression of the fact that I've now known Dean 7 years in July. We're not married. We're not together, so to say, but we both love each other, but we're not as in love with each other as we were, because there's been so much stress, so many problems, and so much like, who the fuck are each of us in where we've met each other to coming together. We didn't obviously meet each other and date and get to know each other. We just literally Downing Street met, bang, bump, you know. So that's been difficult. And the trolling has been difficult. And then obviously people contacted other campaigners here in Portsmouth, who I've never even met or know, but people know me and Southampton people. And it's like, I came to Portsmouth because it was where I was born. I came to Portsmouth because it was the best chance to have some form of care of duty to a council, and my mum was here. And I haven't protested. I have been to a demo that's been here, and I did do an interview with them, but I was just that I kindly walked across the road and went and did that. I have been to a few things on the stairs. I have my own way of dealing with things. I do battle with the police. I do live them. I do what I do. I have been to London a few times. As you know, there's videos of me going to Anonymous. I have been to a few things that have gone on in Parliament and things like that. I have been to a few sort of meetings that have gone on with Baswa. But obviously I have had the boys. But like even that with the inquiry, that caused social. Someone reported, you know, the fact that I was there with the boys. It was a social worker helping me out. I'm not got the balance that I need from this yet. I can see why middle-class young social workers look at certain families and why eugenics happens, and they judge that family based that they couldn't live in that situation, and they think that a child shouldn't, and predominantly it probably shouldn't. But here in the UK, the standard needs to change, but you can't ask for a child to come into the world to be born without a whole alcohol fetal syndrome because the parent drinks or takes drugs, and then expect for the social worker to think that that child is going to be safe going home. And there are reasons that we need this system, and children are abused, but it's not the greatest of systems at the moment. But I don't want to come along and go, what you bunch of wankers have done to me, I'm going to kill and destroy you, and I'm going to do this. What I want to be able to say is, I want people to learn from what happened to me and many others to make sure it doesn't happen again, to prevent this from happening to others again, so people can continually work with the system, so to say, but more with their own families and more within the dynamics, because there used to be a time that when someone become an orphan, they would chase down your great auntie's twice removed cousin from cousin to keep people within the families. And now family just doesn't seem to matter in any way, shape or form. And everybody's being pushed into this whole reprogramming of, like, let me just say, in Russia, they don't have the LGBT, so to say, as we do here in the Western world. But I do not believe in my children being taught that my son is not a boy. He is a boy. And I had 2 boys, and they are 2 boys. And I'm not here to be anybody who believes in gender fluidness, because I'm not about that. All I'm saying is that, as they said back in 2013, something bad was going on in the system. And there has been so many cover-ups to keep forced adoption exposed down. XR trampled all over us. And then obviously there's been Epstein and Prince Andrew and everything else that's been going on. But United Nations did come over to do an investigation. But like I said, unless parents actually present their stuff, there is no investigation. So have your own investigation into where you are in your life right now. Have your own self-analysis and look in the mirror and take the masks off and look at yourself and love you for who you are. And if you don't like yourself, then change it. And there's nothing wrong with saying, this is where I am in my life right now. It's not where I want to be, but I want to sit down with a pen and paper and I want to go, this is what I love. This is what I don't love. And this is where I don't want to be. This is the life that I want. And to step forward to build those, because with that vision, it will come.
Hello and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, where today we're here at the Legoland Windsor Resort.
Legoland Windsor Resort, obviously. So obviously I've got to go to Legoland. For those that have been here for the whole 9 years of Forced Adoption Exposed, I don't think people have understood what's gone on. And I've always felt like I'd got this double-decker bus and I've driven down the road and people have got on, and then all of a sudden I've just got off, left the keys in, and people haven't known what to do. But there are so many other different groups and people are helping each other in different ways. All I can say is, whether you're actively doing something to bring your children home to you, or whether you're sitting waiting for your child to turn 18 to come to you, either way, if you're not right, it won't go right. Either way. And children will watch their families for quite a while before they will approach them. And they may find you on Facebook, they may watch you for quite a while. How you present to your child is how you want them to see you and go, that's my mum, that's my dad. If your child can't look at you and go, that's my mum, that's my dad, then you have to ask yourself whether you are the right person for your child in the first place. I did what I did because it was for Aaron and Faith, and I have never wanted my children to ever feel that they were not lovable, that they were not wanted, that they were just, they were taken, they were stolen, they were forced adopted. And the exposure of forced adoption is sort of done, but we need a big push. We need a big push. But we got to do it in a different way so people are not getting into trouble, and whether it's right or wrong, but to protect our children, to safeguard people who are going through this current situation, because you don't want to rock the boats in what's working. And a lot of people have tried to really dirty my name, so I have no reputation anywhere to go, yes, this woman is renowned for this, this and this. And I've had my own battles, but I'm here. And Hope for Justice, which is what led to the End It movement, which was about slavery. It's about modern day slavery. The modern day slavery bill exists. So many laws have been changed. James Mumby alone made adoption the last resort. That was to do with me meeting them in a cafe and not interfering with them meeting with their children, but getting a chance to speak to them. James Mumby gave permission for my video to be placed in the United Nations. I'm not done. It's not over until I stop breathing and I die and I leave and there's a funeral. I'm a mum and I always will be a mum. Whatever director, affiliation or job or position that I may have that is an exchange of money for my time and service or products, that's why I want to stick with the books, because that will bring me forward to an income to continue to move to work. But then I don't want people picking holes because I then what they deem to be success, because I might have bought a car or a home or have these things. So I want to keep my own money so people can't say, oh, she's made money out of this or she's made money out of that. But what we do need is a goodbye to forced adoption exposed. And the best way to do that is to go out with a bang, with style, launching Family Matters Legal Services, class action, and bringing this forward. So I don't want to miss another season. I fucked up this season because I just wanted to be away snowboarding with the boys and catching up with my older boys. And obviously it was too cold for my body, for my joints. And I haven't been involved in stuff because I genuinely am struggling with my body. But we do have help from people coming in. And the moment I commit to anything, I can do whatever I put my mind to. The question is, can you? And I just want to say hello to everybody. I will know how many people are here. I know it's very late. It's very late in the morning. I don't know what time it is in your country, what country you're here for. So please drop down in the comments who you are, why you're here. If you want to tell your story publicly in this comment, then please do. I will open up the comments, but please know that I've got 2 little boys to look after, and I've got a life here that I don't have the time or capacity to do things. All I can say is I'm going to be bringing this into a brand, and that way we can use it for the marketing tool and awareness. But it's about you putting your statements together. It's about us coming together, whether it be within our own legal representation, within our own legal team, or whether it's as a group of people. But if we are all hammering in the same thing, eventually the bow breaks. And people have been hammering for a very, very, very long time in very different ways. And here in Great Britain, it's time for the big push. So it's coming into the final day. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. So if you're joining us, please, if you don't, no matter how long it's been since you've made contact with your children or the system that's framed around it, but the last point of contact that you have, you know, please do just say, hey, I'm here and I'm really thinking about where I go with my life from how. I'd like to know how my children are doing. Could you tell me where it's up to at the moment? Or if you haven't had a letter and you want to get that letter, or you want to start speaking with them, because pain can keep you away for too long. There's people out here that are doing a lot of the common law stuff, and I say, why you've not used it for your own child? And they go, because it's been so long. And people don't want to unsettle children that may be settled. And we don't know what situation they're in. But all I can say is, again, tomorrow, more families will be separated, and we can't allow this to continue. It's like a rape. If you don't report the rape, then they go on to do it to other people. And it's the same with this. But you can't be going on this attack that I heard when I first ever came into it, because that doesn't work. And there is a hype diversion that goes on, and there is a gatekeepers that are here to prevent people like me getting through. Hence why I have the website created against me. Hence why I have an adversary, because, and this is going to rock on me because I've come on to here. I haven't been on here for, as you know, I don't know how long. So there will be consequences for me being here, because they'll go, hang on a minute, I thought this was done. It ain't over until I say it's over. So we are Forced Adoption Exposed. So let's get the banner. Let's get it printed up. I have the website. It's there. I haven't put it up, but let's get the message out. Let's get your stories. Let's put it together into a Forced Adoption Exposed booklet with the statistics and everything. Let's get it out. Let's get the family support in. And there's a couple of us who really, really want to start trying to help family with more practical things. And I mean more practical things. So being able to meet up and going to Chesington or in Towers, doing things with other people. And also I am in here in Portsmouth. So if you are in the Portsmouth here area, I am willing to meet up. If you want to be part of Forced Adoption Exposed in terms of pushing things in your own area, your own community, or more with the legal, Family Matters legal side. But Step Up Britain is coming in, and I'm coming in for 2025, because they said that we would have disability equality by 2025. So I'm aiming to stand in the United Nations for 2025 and say, did you guys get disability equality? Because this is what's fucking happened to me and many other people along the way. And I don't think we're even close to talking about conditions and health conditions and people having the correct, adequate care. It's been a plasters on gangrene system for a very, very long time. Crisis, accident and emergency. And we are all barely merely surviving when we are not here to survive. We are not survivors, we are thrivers, and we are here to thrive. We are not here to be poor. That is a strategy that was put on us to keep us in the slave mindset. We are all very prosperous, and we are all spiritual beings here having a human experience, and we're not three-dimensional people, but there is a spiritual war. It exists, and the devil wants to destroy family, and he's doing a fucking great job at it. And in the name of Jesus Christ, may I pray that the Lord be with us all, that hearts heal, that cold hearts warm, and that as we enter into tomorrow and enter into the Sabbath weekend of the last weekend of winter, that people are clearing out what is not for them anymore, that all people that are hoarders are cut of this horrible, horrible, horrible disease, and that people can start afresh this spring. And it doesn't matter how much hurt or pain or anger that you have, that you use this time to forgive and heal. And forgiveness is not about saying they get away with it. It's about saying that that hot coals that you keep in your hand no longer burns you. It's not poisoning you. The anger is not destroying you. It's about giving it up and letting it go and allowing for the hot coals to pour on them. And that's the power of forgiveness. It allows for the Lord to do his work. You don't meddle in other people's karma. So I need to know how to process and move this forward. So please do drop a line in the comments box. Let me know who you are, why you're here. If you don't feel that you can do this publicly, then I do believe that there are groups and pages to do with this that you can maybe join in and write down. I am not getting involved in any trolling. I am not getting involved in any bullying. I am not getting involved in any this group, that group, shit, bollocks, crap. I've seen it for 9 years, mate. I've seen it from every angle, every bollocks. I've seen parents turn up and they take energy. A lot of lesbian protesters do this around me. I'm straight, yeah, can't change me, stay away. You'll never change my ideas on husband and wife. I believe in the moral march, and we are in a very corrupt and very horrible, and we are in what people believe to be the end of times. And the only thing that is going to give us another chance as a human species right now is to change our ways. And that means that this forced adoption stuff and this separation of families and this divide has to stop. And the only way that can do that is to say that I am the first member of my family. I am the generations, and may all the generations that came before me stand with me. May all the generations that come after maybe step forward with them, and that we call our generations, that we call on our previous ancestors and the hundreds and hundreds of years that came before, the bloodline that steps before in you, and that you understand that you are not depression, you are not borderline personality, you are not your narcissistic traits, you are not your what's the other one that they've got, psychopathic disorders, you are not dyslexia, you are not your Asperger's or your autism or emotional regulation or whatever comorbids, or a sexual abuse victim or a domestic violence victim. You are not these tick boxes on their paperwork, which is a DSM-5 cut and paste from books that they learn in university. This is real life with real people, real feelings and real emotions. And people have been here on this page not knowing what it's for, with just articles going out just to prove that forced adoption is going out. And Amber, I think up until February, had kept some of the stuff going out. Yes, there is going to be some movement in that, but right now, the most important thing to me right now is my own healing. That is not selfish. That is selfless, to put your own healing first. Because when I can pour, I can overpour to others. When I am depleted and broken and an empty vessel, then I'm no good to anybody. So I'm going to be taking these next 2 weeks up till the 31st of March, ready for a new financial year, to literally this weekend have what is my end of winter, and then heading into what people do as their spring clean. But I'm doing this all this winter, and then obviously meant to be skating, I think it's on the 6th or the 7th of April in Bristol. And that's my own personal journey. I've got my own personal stuff going on with my own medical, and I'm still not there yet. I'm not where I need to be in terms of my relationships, my personal relationships. So I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to do stuff. I'm not here to be an example. I'm not here to be a role model. It was my mess to a message. And I can't help people in terms of sitting down with you and being involved in your case. That's too much. People get paid to do stuff in terms of, like, even just one person that's involved in a case is getting £30,000 a year. I've just worked for nothing for many, many, many years, and I just can't do that. I could never go back to even a 4-hour conversation. I can't take 4 hours out of mine and my boy's life. And I'm still not willing to put my children into school to work for this for full time, because this isn't worth losing the most valuable times with my boys and being the mother that I need to be in their health and their education plan. So that's not happening. But I am willing to give parts of my time away. And we're coming up to Mother's Day. I don't know what day Mother's Day. It must be next Sunday. The clock's changed this Sunday. And it's time to move forward. So for me, Forced Adoption Exposed and the website has either got to go all together, or it has to now come to an end. And when I say come to an end, is the exposure's done. People are talking about not just historic, not just, as they want to call it now, Victorian, but current forced adoptions. They are going on. And even with, you know, the only person I got to know here was obviously Josie, and Josie was still coerced into signing the adoption order for her daughter. And obviously, you know, things are moving forward, and she's working with the services at the moment for a new future. I don't know how that's going to plan out, but I can't teach people what I didn't know back then, because when I came out asking, they've got my kids' social services, I've got my kids, and you've got someone going, do common law, do statute law, this is Moses law, this is a section 20, this is, you're a rabbit in a headlight. And it takes a lot of time, and I don't necessarily have that space, but I can work towards that. But if every single one of us, even just this that I do every day, yeah, but we do it with the FEA stuff, and if we can get this book down, it's going to help push it even forward. And I think the main thing is people feeling ready to actually bring a private prosecution for what they have been through, and suing. And it's not about the money. It's about the omission of the paperwork. It's about the justice. It's about people being able to move on and get on with their lives. And it's about children not growing up thinking that they were not loved and abandoned. It's about children understanding that their parents were on a hiding to nowhere and didn't know what to do. And there's been a time distance and frame in between that can be restored. That can be restored. I've seen too many adult parents back now with their parents, and more people reunited later on. And you can't take away that bond and that love. But what I would say to some adopters out there, some adopted kids, is that not all parents are like myself and the people that are here on forced adoption. And some people did sign it and they're not waiting for you to turn up, and they have moved on, and that's different. My pain and trauma is real, and forced adoption exposed, as in Aaron and Faith, was a personal journey for me. So I didn't feel that I wanted to go on to my live in my personal space to go over this stuff again, because I want to remove all of this stuff from Kellie, because what happened to me with Aaron and Faith being taken isn't me. It doesn't define me. It's not who I am. And I really need Kellie back now. And the only way that I can do that is to bring forced adoption exposed to an end. And that's what I hope that we can do together. So I apologise for not knowing who you are or your story, or if you have messaged or spoken with any of the admin. I haven't been here. I dropped that baton in 2015 and I left, and it's been a long time, and I've reacted to people that have caused social to my door, and I've reacted to online trolls that have been reacting, and I've been trying to keep separate from it, and it hasn't helped or worked. So I think the best thing that I can do is take a stronger, harder, faster position and move things forward. So, hello, this is Forced Adoption Exposed. I am Kellie, the woman behind it. The children that were taken were Aaron and Faith on the 13th of December 2012. And it's been a long time. So who are you? How long have you been here? And let's... No, I'm back. This is the longest live that I have done in my fucking life. It's 2.5 hours long. Yeah, so this is where Forced Adoption Exposed is now. And it's the Victorian leading the way. And it's time for us all to come together, case by case, by case, by case. Let me just show you something quite significant in that. By case, by case, by case, by case. Do I carry on? So, would you like to say goodbye to my lovely, beautiful thing? My boys will not be on these lives, by the way. There is a completely different network over here to over on mine. I am going to be coming back more because I'm going to be going into a more official capacity. So that means I'm not going to be messaging. I think that was the thing that annoyed me so much about, I think it was Ian Joseph's network or John Hemming's network. You know, his staff were commenting on Facebook, if you've got a professional company, you can't be using Facebook. Facebook is not a professional company in that sort of way. So obviously, as well as that, social media platforms are going to be moving. I've got my TikTok stuff, which is something completely different, but the trolls go wherever I go. So it doesn't matter what I do. So for me, I've just got to get on and be me. You know, I can be trolled. People will love me. People will hate me. People will like me. It doesn't matter. There's only one man that I want to be in love with, and him in love with me, and that is Dean. And there's only 6 children that I have, including Josie a bit. She's I'm always going to be here for her, and if everything works out for her, I'm never ever going to let her fall on her face. I can't be there in terms of helping her work with the system, but she's doing really well. She's still only 19. And Aaron and Faith are now 13 and 12. And I'm still here. And Aaron and Faith, I love you. I miss you every day. I've got Faith. And I'm just actually wondering something because I haven't checked. Yeah, I've also got, let me get this right this time, because I've got Faith's birthday coming up, and her birthday is on next Saturday. So it's not this weekend, but next Saturday. So I think for the 26th of March and coming into close with the financial year, then I think maybe I will post that I will be live on the 26th. That's not 2 weeks for me to do a paid live event, but that's enough for me to say you've got a week's notice that I will be on live, so you can come on, know that I'm going to be there, what it's going to be about, and things like that. But I cannot be doing spontaneous. I cannot be having people triggering me off. I cannot be having people playing with my trauma. I'm still healing myself. I can't work with people that want to be my friends. They're not my friends. My friends are very personal. I won't be releasing to anybody who my personal friends are, and none of my personal friends will have any photographs of them on social media unless we are completely past all of this sort of side, because they don't want trolls contacting them. One of my family members does announce herself as my auntie in this vicinity, but she's strong enough and she just block you. She just won't deal with you. My boys don't need people doing it to them or trying to add them as friends, as people have done. They just need to be left alone. And of course, if anybody ever comes across Aaron and Faith, it's not their position to get involved with them. So it's very difficult to keep that blend of private and personal life, personal and public life. But at the end of the day, if you make yourself public like I've done, you open yourself up to the adversaries. I didn't understand that back in 2010. I didn't know that it was there would be such nasty, vile people out there that would ring social and make the complaint that about, Faith sitting on the bed with Liam in a hotel, and causing all of this, and then foster care files. And, it's taken this long for me to actually know that it has been anonymous people doing this with fake information, and I've just been in reaction. So it's about responding, it's about healing, it's about moving forward. And I pray that for all of you as well. I don't know whether you've gone on to have another family, or whether you've got your own children back, whether, or time has come on. So that's what I've got to find out now. So I need to find out who's here, what you're here for, why you're here, what you want to get out of this, what you think you want to do, and how you think you want to move forward. And I will leave you all with this live, and maybe move it forward for there. I need to get back to being Kellie, who has clothes for going training and goes out for dinner. And, me and Dean need to be able to have normal conversations about curtains and cars and normal life, because even though I've not been here on FEA, it is still dominated and taken out of my world because of the adversary and the trolls that have caused social in the life. And that was my dancing. I went to the hospital over lockdown and danced, which I'd planned to do for my book, which got things a bit complicated. It caused the biggest row between me and Dean. And obviously caused for the police to be at my door as well, with people calling the police. And, so Dean wants a private life, but also he is the same. He's an artist and all of that stuff. So he's learning to not necessarily be so private. And it's difficult for people, because being authentic and talking about pain and healing and trauma is very difficult for people to do. But I find obviously that it's easier for me to do now. And now I am past, and I've sort of moved on, and I've got children, and I know I'm not seeing Aaron and Faith, but this is the next stage. And yes, I am suing them for Flintshire for what's happened. And Portsmouth are now going to move on to work with me in the way that they were going to do before the trolls caused more problems. And yeah, so please do put down in the comments how long you've been going through this, or whether you've got your children back. If you don't want to highlight yourself publicly, then please don't post, because this is a public account. Obviously, I've got analytics, so I can see, you know, who watches it, what watches, where it's going. And I will come on and do some really short videos on, and I'll be able to use my laptop as well, so I'll literally be able to put it exactly out. But Forced Adoption Exposed is not the place to do that. There is other factors. Forced Adoption Exposed just needs to become the branding for a campaign, and we need to start getting that logo out there, that it becomes so familiar. I'm going to be spray canning it, and one, to help the Victorian and push through to get more people from back then to come forward, because we don't need, there's one thing doing it in 4s and 5s, but there are so many people out there that don't know that there are people that are getting justice for them, that want the same justice. And getting out there and doing car boots and speaking to people, you're finding more people. So I've got my FEA table coming and things like that. So, and then other stuff. So I'm going to go. I've been here for a long time, but I just felt that it was about time that I come on and sort of gone, look, this page was created in 2013. This is the stuff, the videos that have, things that have come off of the back of it. Obviously, I've had 2 little babies, and before I go, I won't obviously disturb my children, but oh no, because one of them's thrown all of his bedding on. But obviously, there is a little boy here, and there's a little boy down on the bottom bunk, but he's stark as like a starfish. And yeah, you know, so where my life goes from after this particular point is up to me. So I am literally defragging myself. Everything will either be dumped, do it, or delegate it. So I will burn and destroy everything that I don't want to continue in my life. The website that's been held in my name, there's something interesting about to happen to them. So hopefully I've got all of the screenshots, because I have, like I said, the health visitor has proved that what they're saying on the website is completely wrong. So they're going to actually be working with me in terms of using that to highlight how a family would feel if they were the allegations that were used against them. And I've been able to show how a parent would feel in that situation. But this is about building bridges. We need a system, but we need a system that's working for the families. And there's been so many changes, and things are moving forward, and things are helping, and things like that. But if somebody flags up and says to me, look, my child has been taken this week, then I know this is still going on. And if you say what country you're in, then maybe we may be able to get a coordinator for that country, because I don't know your ways and your things. But what I'm saying is let's take some levels and time, and come over to me on Kellie, by the way, as well, if you want to follow moving the progression forward. And if you are obviously somebody who's been through sexual abuse, please don't forget about Chris Tuck and her Breaking the Cycle book for sexual abuse for somebody who's been in foster care is absolutely brilliant. And there are many ways to help, but when it really comes to it, you get down on your knees and you pray. And then you sit and you meditate. You speak to him, and then you listen. And you trust your own heart, mind and soul. So, Forced Adoption Exposed is about the unlawful and unnecessary detainment of children taken against their consent for adoption without consent. So it is parents who have not given their consent for their children to be adopted, but their children have been adopted without their consent. So taken against their will and removed from them, and obviously children are then placed for what is called forced adoption, which was coined by Ian Joseph with his book Forced Adoption. But we need to move forward now with Sabine is in back in Germany. I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know if her head is going to rear up. I'm not friends with anybody of this world. I'm just a mother who had her children taken that turned up at Downing Street. And we as all individuals come together. And this is about child trafficking and human trafficking. But my banner is Step Up Britain. My Home for Christmas t-shirt was given to me on my committal to prison. And it's the only one I've ever had. For that is so expensive. You can't expect somebody to put banners and posters and things up, but I'm going to be doing that. I've got obviously my little office space ready, this is the Hope for Justice, the End It. It's a bit of a nightmare in there at the moment. But all the paperwork is in order. I'm working my ass off. This weekend is the big push for me. Massive, massive, massive big push. So any trolls coming in, I won't be listening. I won't be getting involved. I've got too much to do. I will be available on social media when I say I'm available. I've got 2 children that I am with all day. I tend to do things more in the evening, but I'm trying to really, really, really work on myself for the best interest of Dean, and obviously myself more to the point. But you know, I really want us to come through this and things work. So for that to happen, FEA's got to go, and the only way it can go is for it to come to an end, and the only way it can come to an end is for it to have served its purpose, and that means that the exposure, it's done. There's nothing you can do. People are talking about forced adoption all over the place, you know, and that's what we got to get to now. So yeah, I'll see you all soon. So anyway, tomorrow, Friday. So please, the Sabbath starts at sunset on Friday. So please cut yourself off this weekend. And as the Sabbath comes, have your day of rest. And then on Sunday morning, be ready with your clear out, your garage sale, everything out on Marketplace or whatever. Give to charity what you want to give to charity. Sell, recycle that money to make sure you got some money for this spring to maybe have a spring clean and a redecorate and a relook at your life. But, you know, just sit down with a pen and paper and go. The winter is over. We're heading into spring. This is going to be a new summer and another Christmas and another winter. And write down how you would like these to be. And, you know, maybe work with me in terms of over on my stuff as we move forward together, and yeah, see how it goes. All I would say is anything else that I talk about, just do your own research. There is a massive refining going on around the world right now, and a lot of corruption is opening up, and cans of worms are being opened, and it's not nice, and it's not nice to see, but it had to happen at some point. But there is so much more to it. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's you that matter. It's the people on the streets with the really bad stories that haven't got themselves up. And everybody's got a story, but it usually ends up with, I was taken from my parents and I was in foster care. And that the moment that a child is taken, the damage is done. So Step Up Britain was about helping families make sure that they weren't even in these systems and that people could be independent and financially independent. So I talk about other stuff over there. So I haven't done my crypto or my Bitcoin myself. But what I will say to people is get yourself in a really, 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 really good situation and just be blessed, because we're too blessed to be stressed. And I know it hurt, and I know what we've been through is horrible, but there is no point being a victim to this. And there's no point letting what they did to us define us. We need to shine our light, and we need to be the inspiration to our kids that we are. There's no point walking around going, oh, they've got my kids and I don't know what to do. You got to still get up. You've got to get through that depression. You've got to get through that grief, even if it's that you make something in line with them. So it's Faith's 12th birthday next Saturday, and I will be making something new. So if you're here, I'm sorry that you're part of Forced Adoption Exposed. If you're here because you were trying to help back then, hey, I'm here. My name is Kelly, and I've had 2 children forced adopted. And yes, I'm gagged, but I don't let that stop me. So ciao, have a nice day. And sorry if you got to catch up with however long this message has been, but hopefully you will catch up. And the trolls will have to sit here and watch 2.5 hours because they want to know why I'm over on FEA. And obviously there will be a lot of people going, what the fuck's Kelly doing on FEA? What's she doing? What's she doing? So they'll want to sit and watch. And so let's just see where it takes us, hey? So from me, if people do want to get involved, then please do drop down what you want to do. I'm not here to create a hope diversion. I'm here to apply a strategy together now. So there will be no posting unless it is really significant to do with obviously what's going on with Victorian stuff. And there will be no posting of any people's children or family. That's not what I'm here to do. You are more than welcome to go over to Faces of Forced Adoption to do that. But I do protect children over here. But what you can do is say that you are the mother whose children were taken, or you are the father. There are other ways around it. So anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm glad that I did make the decision to come on. I was dithering about it all night. I nearly came on at 12. Then I stalled it out. Then I was like, no, there's no point. So I've picked up the baton. I don't know what I'm doing with it. I don't know if somebody else is going to be running with it, or whether actually after this we either make the decision to completely delete. But the website is not public, but it is sitting there at this particular point. It can move forward, but it only moves forward with you. I have already been the person that has seen that there can be big numbers of something, but actually there's not many people that turn up. I do know the difference between a lot of parents now, and there are genuine parents that want their kids back, and then there are others that just, it's a victim story, and I can't move out of all of that. So anyway, I also know that other people have been trying to contact me, obviously have been blocked by Amber, who was my gatekeeper, who's obviously done a very good job over that. I know it's probably pissed people off, but I've had 2 little babies, and they're 5 and they're 4, and I've been breastfeeding and being a mum and focused on my children, but not so much so that I fucked off and left the UK and started a life. I've stayed here for Aaron and Faith, and been here for Liam and Daniel. And now I need to move forward with my life, because next winter I want to make sure I'm in a stronger, better position than I am in now. And this summer I want to make sure is a better summer for the boys getting older. And me and Dean work together, even though, we're not together or working things out. But, the boys are his, and they love him so much. And I would advise any parent, if you're separated, to please work together for the sake of the kids. It's not worth that war. It's not worth being used and having social warring with the 2 of you. But I am here. I've always been here. I watch from different sides. But now it is really sculpting this document. And I do a lot on the phone, a lot of social media. But since we lost that email account, I haven't done so much of that because it's too much sending it all out. But this is poignant, and I've got somebody working on it at this particular point. So, but it starts with my case, with me, but I can't do it without yours. So take care. Have a lovely Friday. Have a wonderful end of winter weekend. And I look forward to a fresh start for spring for us all. So let's spring into action and take a leap of faith. So see you next Saturday, guys. See you next Saturday. I will be here on Saturday. I don't know what time, but I will book a proper live. And have a birthday celebration probably for all of our kids and have a big, you know, how many children have birthdays, how old they are. I'll do something. I don't know. I'll come up with anything. But don't come and throw into my head or anything right now. I really can't take it. You've already thrown me. So you're welcome to post things down on here. And that's it. But you are not welcome to be in my space at this particular point. And that's to everybody. This is my healing, my journey. I had a lot of people come around me that got into my life, and I have had every right to work on me, and I'm still keeping a lot of that safe because I'm building my own friendships, and I'm very protective of my friendships, and I'm speaking with people that I haven't even been to see since my kids were taken. Like, I haven't faced people. I haven't, you know, I just got thrown to the dogs, I suppose. So anyway, God bless, take care. May the families that are currently broken and destroyed be returned and restored in new. And just remember, guys, that if you don't get to see them in this life, you'll be restored in the next anyway. But I would like to see the restored in this world. So let's not hate. Let's do this with love. And let's just make sure that what's happened to us ends, but it's not done in a war and hate. It's not a fight. It's done with love, and it's done in such kindness and compassion that people can't but not change. So take care, and let's see where forced adoption exposed is up to right here, right now. Hey, the beginning, the middle, and let's see how we're going to bring it to an end. See you later. I'm tired, but I'm still here, and I'm still breathing. And good luck, and well done to all of you that are still here too.